Hey everybody, how's it going? Mike Hodges here. So I'm going to talk about, believe it or not, of all things, a professional hockey team today. I'm going to talk about the Washington Capitals, who have been my favorite hockey team since they came into existence in the early to mid 70s. The Capitals won the Stanley Cup last night, but I wanted to give you a little bit of background information. If you're not a sports fan, or if you don't know much about the Capitals and you don't care much about hockey or the Capitals, bear with me, because I promise you there's some good business lessons and some life lessons here as well. The Capitals have been a franchise throughout their history that I believe that probably up until last night were the worst, most choking, most incompetent sports franchise in the history of organized sports. And I don't say that lightly. I know that there's a lot of teams out there, like some of the Cleveland teams, and I know the Red Sox didn't win for a while, and I get that. That the Capitals had very, very good teams for a number of years now. Most of the times in sports, when you hear about a team going through a long streak without a championship, let's be honest, for the most times the team they put out there, they're not that good. They really pretty much suck. And they don't really have any business anybody thinking that they deserve to win a title, because they're not that good. But the Capitals, over the years, have built up an unfortunate legacy, up until last night, of putting together some very, very talented teams that would always choke in the playoffs. You know, it wasn't a question that they weren't that good or they didn't have talent. They were great. They were some of the best teams in hockey during the regular season. And they would routinely get eliminated in the first round, all the time. They would, on those rare instances in which those handful of times they made it past the first round, they'd get eliminated in the second round. And they'd oftentimes do so in spectacularly heartbreaking fashion. They'd be winning 3-1 in a best of 7 series, and the other team would think, okay, we've got them right where we want them. And sure enough, the Capitals would find a way to lose. Number of Game 7s, overtime games. I mean, as a fan, it just ripped your heart out and just stomped it to death. And it happened over and over and over again. The one time that they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals in 1998, they actually overachieved a little bit. They didn't have that good of a team during the regular season, and they got swept in 4 games by Detroit. So for years, the Capitals have been putting their fans on this emotional roller coaster where they'd go up and they'd go down and they'd break their hearts, and people began to get kind of bitter and angry about this. I was terribly frustrated. I was very hard on them. And a lot of people became very cynical and very jaded. There's an old joke among Washington sports fans. You know, the Stanley Cup Finals are in June every year. And the old joke among Capitals fans was, what's red, white, and blue and plays golf every May? The answer, of course, being the Washington Capitals. They routinely get bounced out far before they should have, and they just go hang out and play golf. Well, this started to get to the team. I mean, obviously, if you do this year after year after year, it starts to develop a mentality with you. They actually, you could see every year they'd be thinking in the back of their minds, oh no, not again. The pressure would come up and they would inevitably choke. And what made last night's game so wonderful is the exact opposite happened. The team that won the Stanley Cup this year did it with mental and emotional toughness, with grit, resiliency. They played hard, they had faith, they believed in each other, they never quit. Everybody contributed. Total team effort. They played with passion and joy, and they just refused to lose. They were behind in every one of their series. They played 4 series. They beat Columbus, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, and then they beat Las Vegas last night. And in every series, at one point, they were behind in the series with their back up against the wall. They won at home when they had to. They won on the road when they had to. They just refused to they found a way to win. They refused to lose this year. And it was the exact opposite of what the Capitals used to be. So today, salute Washington Capitals, world champions. I've waited over 40 years to say that. We would literally have been in the desert, us Washington sports fans, with the Capitals for 40 years. So salute, world champions, Stanley Cup champions. They deserve it. It was fantastic. It was beautiful. We love you guys. But I wanted to talk, too, about your business a little bit, how that can affect you in your business life. You know, it's hard to go out sometimes when you have a fear of failure. It's hard to go out when you think to yourself, you have those little voices, that insecurity that says, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I'm strong enough or talented enough or have what it takes to compete at the next level. And it's even more brutal if that's not just kind of an insecurity that you have in your heart and in your mind. it can be really, really tough if that's rooted in some sort of objective reality. If people are coming up to you and saying, yeah, you know what, actually, you don't appear to be very good at this. You've tried and you've tried and you didn't close that sale and you didn't do that deal, and that was really low-hanging fruit. And frankly, I can't believe that you screwed that up, right? When you hear that year after year after year, it's easy to start thinking, I'm just not that good at this. I can't do this. It's easy to make excuses to quit. It's easy to find reasons why you can't succeed rather than why you will succeed, because everything seems to be pointing towards the former. It can change, however. It can change by changing your mindset, reprogramming the way you view things, reprogramming the way that you behave. So, guys, that's what the Washington Capitals did. I was fascinated last night, and you're gonna see some of my Facebook Lives are gonna be rooted in, the Washington Capitals and life lessons learned and business lessons learned. I really can't emphasize enough. This is a team that I can't really describe to you enough. As a Washington Capitals fan will understand, they have been punched in the face hard for 4 decades, and it's really hard to get up off the floor when you've been punched in the face that often. But it can be done. I thought it was fascinating that their coach last night, they were interviewing him. He's been with them for a number of years now, and he had experienced a lot of the failures in the playoffs while they were failing in these last couple of years. In fact, he's a free agent. His coaching contract expired. He was playing at the end of his contract, so now he's a free agent now, having just won the Stanley Cup as a coach. So, cha-ching, way to go, coach. Good for you. Get paid, buddy. You earned it this year. But he was giving an interview, and he said, quite clearly, listen, I've been trying to change the narrative in this locker room for a number of years. And I thought that was fascinating. I've been trying to change the narrative, because that's what you have to do if you're struggling, if you're failing in your business or in your personal life. Guys, if you're having some challenges in your business and in your professional life, you need to do what the Washington Capitals did. You need to change the narrative. You need to start changing the way that you think about things. It's not enough to just go out and try hard, because they played, they're professionals. They showed up for practice. They worked hard. They weren't slacking. They're in great physical condition. They practiced. They would play real hard. They had a lot of talent, but that never seemed to help them. You have to change the narrative. You have to change the way that you think, the way you behave, the way you go about handling your business and doing things. That's what I do here in my business. Sometimes, people ask me, what do I do here at Change and Prosper? That's exactly what I do. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. It doesn't matter how many times you've been knocked down, how many times you've been punched in the face, how many times you've tried to win and have failed spectacularly. Doesn't matter. Today's a new day. You can achieve the results that you're looking for. It doesn't have to be the way it was yesterday, but you are going to have to change. You can't keep doing the same things over and over again. And it wasn't until the Washington Capitals changed their mentality. Ironically, many commentators felt this team had less talent than last year's team and some of the previous year's team. They weren't, on paper as good in terms of sheer athleticism as they had been in the past. But that's not what won them the championship. What won them the championship was changing their narrative and developing a work ethic and a mentality of grit and toughness and resiliency and a will to win and a never say die attitude. Love to help you guys with that. If that's something you're interested in, let me know. Guys, thanks so much. Take care. We'll be talking about the Caps here for a while because, look, I've waited 40 years. I think I'm entitled to, and there are some good life lessons learned. So enjoy. Have a fantastic weekend. Take care. Be well. Caps rock. #1, baby. We'll see you. Bye-bye, guys. Peace.